You know how in sci-fi movies they can create these perfect digital copies of people? Well, that's not really science fiction anymore. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on an AI called MVP4D. This thing can create a photorealistic, fully animatable 3D version of you from just a single photo. The real question is, how on earth does it do that? Okay, let's get into it.
No, really, just think about that for a second. We're not talking about some cartoony avatar for a video game. We're talking about a digital twin, one that moves like you, has your expressions, and even captures the subtle ways light reflects off your skin. That's the mind-blowing promise here. But to get there, researchers had to crack a massive fundamental problem.
And that problem, it all comes down to the data. You see, to teach an AI to understand a human head in glorious 3D, you can't just feed it a bunch of selfies from the internet. You need a very, very specific kind of data. And the fact that this data is practically non-existent has been the single biggest roadblock in this field for years.
So the perfect textbook for an AI learning this stuff is something called multi-view portrait video data. Just picture this. You're sitting in a high-tech studio surrounded by, say, 100 cameras, and they're all recording you at the exact same time from every conceivable angle while you're talking and moving around. That's the gold standard. It captures everything. But here's the catch. Building a setup like that is insanely difficult and wildly expensive. You need these massive, specialized camera rigs, perfect synchronization, the whole 9 yards. And because of that, large-scale datasets like this are incredibly rare. The AI's perfect textbook is basically an empty book. Right, so this is where the team behind MVP4D got really, really clever. If you don't have that one perfect source of information, what do? You get resourceful. You build your own curriculum by stitching together knowledge from other, more common sources that you can get your hands on.
So instead of trying to find this unicorn data set that doesn't exist, they cooked up a custom training plan. Think of it like a data recipe, combining several different types of data that are way easier to find. They basically used 3 core ingredients. First up, regular old monocular videos. You know, the kind of stuff you see on YouTube or TikTok. This is fantastic for teaching the AI about smooth, realistic motion over time. Second, they used multi-view image sets. So just still photos of a person from lots of different angles. This teaches the AI what a person looks like from all sides. That's spatial consistency. And third, they used the tiny bit of dynamic multi-view video that actually exists to act as a bridge, helping the AI connect the dots between 3D shape and lifelike motion. It's brilliant because each ingredient's strengths make up for the other's weaknesses.
Okay, so with this data recipe ready to go, they put the AI through a really smart 3-stage training process. You can honestly think of it like a workout plan for the AI, you know? It starts with the basics, then gradually ramps up the difficulty to build its skills methodically. All right, so the curriculum is broken down into 3 main phases. First, you lay a solid foundation. Then you start ramping up the complexity. And finally, you scale the model up to its full awesome power. Stage 1 is all about being efficient. You know, you don't walk into a gym on day 1 and try to lift the heaviest weights, right? Same idea here. They start by teaching the AI the fundamentals at a lower resolution, just to get the basics down fast and solid. So, for this first phase, the AI crunches through 30,000 training iterations at a pretty modest 256 by 256 resolution. It's only generating about a quarter of the final frames, and it's using only the simplest generation method, which they call Mode 1. The whole point is to just build a solid, efficient base of understanding to work from. Now, once that foundation is good and set, it's time to level up. In Stage 2, the resolution gets a big boost, and maybe more importantly, the AI has to learn a whole new set of skills, way more complex and flexible ways of creating the avatar. The resolution literally doubles to 512 by 512, which gives us much sharper, cleaner images. But the real game changer here is that the AI is now being trained on 4 different generation modes, not just that simple one from before. So what exactly are these modes? The easiest way to think about these modes is like different strategies or tools in the AI's toolkit. Each mode uses a different combination of information to generate new parts of the video, which ultimately makes the final model incredibly flexible and powerful. So Mode 1 is the basic one we already know. Just create everything from that one starting photo.
But Mode 2 teaches it spatial reasoning. It can actually look at the camera views it's already made to help it generate new ones. Mode 3 is all about motion, or temporal reasoning. It looks at the first few frames of the video to predict what the next frames should look like. And then you have Mode 4, which is like the expert level. It combines both the spatial and temporal skills. By learning all four, the AI becomes this versatile powerhouse. And that brings us to the final stage. This is the championship round. It's a short but way more intense fine-tuning phase where the AI gets pushed to its absolute limits, applying everything it's learned but at maximum scale.
Now, over just 5,000 iterations, the model gets its final polish at that high 512 resolution. But now, it's learning from up to 16 different viewpoints at a time and generating almost 50 frames for each and every one of those views. This final push is what really enables that seamless, complete 3D video.
So, after going through this intense 3-stage workout, what can this AI actually do? Well, this is where all of that clever training really pays off and lets the model pull off its most incredible feat.
The end result is that the model can generalize, and that is a huge word in AI. It means that even though it was never trained on perfect 360-degree video data, remember, that data doesn't exist. Its multimodal curriculum taught it the underlying principles of 3D space and motion so well that it can now generate a complete 360-degree animated video of a person, all from that single starting photo. And to put its power into perspective, get this, in one single go, MVP4D can generate up to 392 frames at the same time. That's 49 frames of video across 8 different camera angles, all created in one shot. That is just way more than previous models could ever handle, and it's what gives its animations that incredible, rock-solid consistency. This quote from the research paper just sums it all up perfectly. The model can do this amazing thing without ever being trained on that perfect textbook data we talked about at the beginning. It basically taught itself the subject by masterfully piecing together clues from other, more common sources. It's just genius. And all of this leaves us with a pretty deep and fascinating question for the future, doesn't it? As these AI models keep getting better and our digital twins become truly indistinguishable from reality, how are we going to use them? For new forms of communication, for entertainment, maybe for building entire new virtual worlds. The possibilities are as limitless as they are profound to think about.